guys. We're very happy Thursday to you guys. It's a little off. Today's episode is going to be a little slower, kind of breaking into things as we get back into the stretch. We didn't do a show. Well, we did a show on Sunday. Yeah, that is correct. But we also did a ball game on Sunday. It's been a slow week. I'm Justin, by the way. All right. Trey has started his vacation. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in that. I'm going to give him some heckling as we go through our routine. And, listen, everyone's entitled to the break. And I'll tell you about that in a second, because maybe I felt like I should have had a break as well. Per family, personal reasons is very, I was dealing with some personal things in the family side of things this week. A couple of things happened, and I appreciate everyone who was out there and giving me the support that because of this, and so I thank you. It's been, and Monday was a very, very, very slow week, for slow day for me, and got a chance to go out there on Tuesday, Wednesday. I was like, I'm not feeling, I just, you got to, when you come on to do a show like this, you kind of have to feel, you got to feel it. You got to be ready to go, right? You got to want to come out here and do a show. And I get it and there's a difference between having days off because I just wake up in the morning, I don't feel like it. Well, for me, when you wake up in the morning and you feel like, I just don't feel like waking up here and doing this show, that's one thing. For me, that is a grind, because at the end of the day, you have to, if you want this to be a success, and I want this to be a success, I enjoy each and every one of you guys listening and tuning into us. I really do. Okay, I appreciate it. We put our show on audio streaming platforms, and to be able to see just the demographic range in the United States who choose to listen to us, all right, who chooses to, take 2 hours of their time and listen to us, that is something that is spectacular. So to be able to do that, and you go back in, you see that, and I'm like, people from California, from Idaho, from California to New York, there's several states across the board that listens to us, and I'm like, you're doing something right, you guys. All right, let's keep up the good work. And I was talking with I actually got a chance to be on Steve's show yesterday, and let me see if I could pop it up here, because I know he talks about this. So Steve from Armchair Booking, he started this new podcast called the Cubicle Chat Podcast. I believe that's what it's called, the Cubicle Chat Podcast. And I got a chance, to be a guest on his show last night. And we talked about our podcast. And what is fascinating, what's fascinated me so much about that was the fact that he was able to, how we kind of share ideas and tips and thoughts. And I'm learning so much. It's like, how can I'm always looking to learn how to grow, especially our show. And he's given us insights, and this is what's working for me, this is not what's working for me. And so there may be a couple of changes as I consider that long term, but this isn't but this is what I enjoy doing when I wake up in the morning. And like I said, there is a difference between a grind from waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning saying, oh, I just don't feel like doing it, to waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning and having to deal with a personal matter that it's already preoccupying your mind, and then you got to come on this show and just kind of cut that all out. One of the frustrating things that I run into often is that I can, sitting. I think this is one down part from doing a show audio remotely from your home, is that you can easily get distracted by things around you. Now, I'm kind of cooped that back up in here in a corner. My studio is a corner of a living room. Now, my living room is kind of extended out, really big, and that's one thing I love about this place. But I got the window here. I got got the slide, the patio that's just right out for me. So I kind of get a feel of how outside is. I open up the window, hot or cold, kind of get that feeling in. You kind of start seeing me built up a sweat. I got my lights right here. I'm using, simple equipment. Now, people's ask me, why don't you do it from your bedroom? It's not the same. Right now, I don't have anyone living with me. So occupying a little bit of this space. Now, does it change a little bit? Maybe down the road, I don't know. But overall, when I'm sitting here and I have my couch right over here, and the reason why I actually do this is that if in the event I ever have a guest that is going to come on our show at some point, they could sit down on my comfy couch, and I can have a camera on them when we could have this open conversation without, and they could be comfortable, and I could look at them. I literally sit there and I look at the couch. So I really do enjoy this setup. Will it change down the road? Because I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and the one of the bedrooms is occupied to my daughters for now. And I've been asked, why don't you just change that into a studio? Well, that way when they come over here, they have a place to stay. They can feel comfortable. They can feel at home. They have a place to put their bags down where they don't have to get, judged or, criticized, not even criticized, or, get complained at, saying, oh, I got to put this here, I got to put that there. And then my bedroom, to be honest, there's just no good angles in my bedroom that I can have a studio set up that doesn't occupy, like, it's not cramped. So maybe I'll have to change some things around, and that could be very well be. But right now, I'm not looking to change anything. But anyways, waking up in the morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, you feel like, hey, I just can't do this. And then it's like, oh, well, yes, you can. But it's also part of the grind. And then there's a difference between when you are dealing with family matters and you could get easily distracted. So that's pretty much that. So I appreciate everyone who has been sticking with us, and kind of just talking with us about, sticking with us. I know, like I said, I know Trey is out on vacation. Sorry. I know Trey's on vacation. I know he will be gone for a week and a half. And, I was still skeptic about how this show was going to present itself for the week. And I really don't have any direction on what to do this week. There's not a whole lot of wrestling stuff that I'm really been up to date. And there's, that's one of the things that I love about the diversity of this show, because watching wrestling is a full-time job. And to find stories inside that wrestling program is a full-time job. And so when you get a chance to take a chance to get a break, and something for me, I've taken a break the last couple weeks of not watching that much wrestling, just because that is something that I didn't want to do, because I was like, oh man, I'm just tired. I'm relaxing. I'm kind of loafing around. Especially since my injury, it's kind of like, dude, I'm ready to get back out to work, but I'm just, it's dragging. But we'll see what it has in play. And if you guys are want to track Courtney and Trey, they are, saying hello from Tennessee. They actually have I'm not going to get into detail, but I want to explain this before I break. They are going to Florida. It's an annual trip that Trey and Courtney take with their family every year. And so they get to go down to the streets of Florida, go down to the Hollywood shop, go down to walk the Disney Springs, kind of just take a week of an adventure. And so they are actually it's a little cheaper to take a vehicle, so they're actually driving all the way down to Florida, and for them it's going to be a 2-day drive. And so day one, they're going to expect to drive about 10 hours. So 10, maybe 12 hours, depending how they feel and how many times they have to stop. But you have, they're out there, and they left at around 7 o'clock this morning, and now they're already in Tennessee. So I want to wish them best of luck in travels. Have a good vacation. I know that Trey will be checking in with us from time to time. And that's also another downfall that I am pursuing right now is, on top of the family matters, is Trey not being here like he would normally be here. And things don't normally work out as a plan. We were going to have some people occupy, fill in his position. Obviously, that didn't work. And so, yeah. So you guys get to see my glorious face for an entire week and a half. What am I going to do with myself? Well, I don't know. Let's have some fun on this show. What do we want to talk about today? I don't know. We'll kind of come back, circle around to that. We're going to go all over the place. All right, we're going to take you up 2 hours here. Justin and Trey, right here. Thank you to StreamYard Studios, the proud home of Justin and Trey. StreamYard Studios is where you could create your podcasts, videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct your interviews. Check out the free version today at StreamYard.com. All right, we're going to take a break, take a time out here on Justin and Trey. We'll come back. NFL draft is today. Ooh, that starts. Get you some stories and much more. Don't go nowhere. Hey, you guys. Welcome back to Justin and Trey here. I want to give a shout out to our proud sponsors here from Justin and Trey. Our first sponsors, by the way. All right, our show is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best men's and below the waist grooming products. They're precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package. Manscaped Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer. You guys can save 20% and free worldwide shipping with promo code TNC20 at manscaped.com. That is 20% and free shipping at manscaped.com with promo code TNC20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for Manscaped. Feeling that my headphones are not really wanting to work the way they really want to work. There we go. Well, here's what I did. I did a little something during the break. I send the link out to Trey, and it's going to be up to him. I want to see how their traveling is. So if they want to, they could definitely jump on in for a minute or two and say hi and kind of let us know how they're doing travel wise. So check try to, as we follow along with the adventure that Trey and Courtney are traveling. And listen, it's a long drive. And I give Courtney a lot of credit for the drive. I remember driving out to from, I remember when back in 2020, I made the trip from San Diego, California, out here to Cincinnati. It was a 2-day drive. Now, I had a little bit of help prior to this. This is the first long, exclusive, multiple day drive that I've ever made. Now, I've been up to from San Diego to Oceanside, so it's about an hour. I've driven to LA and stuff like that. Never more than maybe an hour and a half behind the wheel. So I had a little bit of help coming into my drive that I made. And that was thanks to, how do I want to put this? That was thanks to my ex-girlfriend's mother, who made the trip a few weeks prior to us. And she stayed at a couple of Marriott, because she's worked a lot for Marriott hotels. And so she stayed at she actually had planned 2 trips at a couple of Marriotts, and she already had those hotel rooms booked for us. So as if we made it to that destination, so instead of, hey, okay, let's find a place to stay, because this is a long trip and you don't always get a chance to time your stop correctly. I remember the first day of driving, we were starting to run low on gas, and we were going through Arizona. I believe there was mountains in Arizona, and it was at night, and there was no lights. There was no street lights. It was just a 2-lane road in the pitch dark middle of nowhere, trying to go 60, 70 miles an hour. We're at 60 miles left to the tank, and we're like, oh God, please allow there to be a gas station here coming up, because it seemed like it was never going to end. And, fortunate enough, we were able to fill up, and we never got into a jam, but those are scary. So when we made our trip, we went out to, the first trip was out to, I want to say, was it New Mexico? I believe Albuquerque, New Mexico, or something like that. That was our first longevity trip. And then we drove all the way through Texas and landed in Arkansas. And then we took the final day to land in Cincinnati. And I think what really helped the trip here is that because, we only loaded up whatever we had in a car and went on that way. You got 2 kids, and they were fantastic throughout the entire trip. I mean, we only stopped when we needed gas. We ended up getting movies. We ended up, getting those little DVD players to play. And so we really gotten a chance to come up and find, and just really just focusing on the drive instead of anything else. So definitely, I applaud, I applaud what Courtney is doing right now, driving that long. Now, I believe it's about a 12 to, 12 to 16 hour drive. And so for Courtney to be able to do that, I applaud her. It's not an easy task. You got to stay awake. And, she's the only one driving. I was the only one driving. It's not like you could rotate and switch off, on top of, the things that she has to do for Trey, So, and after a while, it becomes tiring. So I sent them the link. Now, whether they have a few minutes today or not, I'm hoping maybe they could join our show and just let us know how the travel is going. If you guys have subjects that you guys want to talk about today or this week or next week, please let me know. DM me, PM me, however you want. Just personally message me on one of my social media accounts, especially Facebook, because I'll answer that a lot quicker. But please reach out to me if there's subjects that you want to talk about, and let me know so that I can help provide entertaining conversations with you. I do know that as of right now, the only guest that I have booked between now and then is I have Tom McCaffrey. I want to say McCaffrey. Um, I believe that's how you say his name. He is an author who wrote. I had the book up here. I want to get back to it. Give me a second, you guys. So we have him scheduled for tomorrow. Now he's also written the book, Mr. Mulligan. The life is the life of a champion, an armless golf champion. So Tommy McCaffrey. So we'll get a chance to have him on tomorrow, which I'm actually very excited to talk to him about. I know he also has done a lot of great things in the radio business, does a lot of PR work. So I just kind of get a chance to pick his brains. I'm always thrilled to learn more about the industry of the podcast and radio business. I was telling Steve Barber from the Armchair Booking and the Cubicle Chat that that was on yesterday. We had you guys could go check. I believe that's on YouTube. I want to see that. Now I'm just going to be searching things up. Let me I don't know. See if I can find it. I don't know if he's on YouTube with it yet, but it's called the Cubicle Chat Podcast, and I really inspire you guys checking that out. And so, Steve, let me talk about a little bit about that. So, Steve has been through. Let me put it this way. So, Steve and Dwaylen has done stuff with Armchair Booking. It's a strict wrestling podcast, weeklies about wrestling programs. Now, so what Steve is wanting to do is kind of expand beyond that. He doesn't want to be known as just the wrestling guy, right? He wants to be known as all these other these other entities and all that stuff. And that's perfect. And I really applaud him for what he's doing, stepping outside of that zone. But we talked about podcasting last night, and I'm like, one thing that we mentioned was just trying to be able to be able to do this on a regular basis. So I would definitely recommend going to check out that. That was, I believe it's on audio streaming services already. Any audio streaming platforms, check them out. You going on a Facebook channel? I know he shared us that link. I will go ahead and reshare that to our page. Check him out. It really just a great time. Just sit back, have a great time, and just talk about sports. So we had that. Now, so we have Tom that on tomorrow, talk a little bit about radio, because that's what I want to do. If I get on the radio station, that's what my ultimate goal is. Get on a radio station, get on a television, sports center. Okay, let's put it that way. And kind of just make this a living. I really do. I want to make this a living. The other thing is, but then we have, okay, so I was talking about the schedule, so I got mixed up for a second. So we have a guest tomorrow. And then as far as that, the next guest is on the 8th of May, because beginning of May is going to be the open book of any or all female wrestlers, because for NWF and PGWA, they are running an all-women's event on Saturday, May 28th in Cincinnati, Ohio, called Revolution Rising. And I want to thank the entire crew from NWF for making this happen, because we have now officially sponsored a match, and I'm excited for that. Listen, anything we could do to give back to these females and these athletes, I'm all down. And so I'm just going to be a great time. I love it. I'm excited. Um, and I'm hoping that we can work something out. Just I know I have a few guests coming up in May for females, but all guests in May is strictly for anyone who is participating in the Revolution Rising, unfortunately. So that's going to be an exciting month for us next month. As a matter of fact, that's in a couple of days. All right. So before we get to break, a couple of local things here to kind of be excited about. I do want to just update everybody here, and I just have to pull this up. Probably not. Here we go. So we're probably going to be focusing a little bit on more local stuff, and so tonight the Cincinnati Cyclones take on Toledo in their playoffs. It's Game 5 of the divisional semifinal games, and it's going to be the Toledo Wallies. And they're open doors at 6:30 p.m. Puck drops at 7:30 p.m. It's at the Heritage Bank Arena, and they're featuring $1 beers. Ooh, yeah. Who doesn't like that? I'm still up to date if I'm going to get anything, if I'm going to go to that game. I want to head out to the playoff game. I really do. But I haven't been. I mean, I went to the first game I went to was they had a Skyline Chili Night, where they represented Skyline. They wore their uniforms. And I was hooked on. I want to go to a nice game. I just don't know if it's in my budget to go and what my plans are. I'll have to figure that out. But I encourage you, if you guys are in Cincinnati area, you don't got nothing to do tonight, go check out and support the Cincinnati Cyclones hockey team. It's a minor league hockey team. Okay, this is the first round of the playoff tournament. I believe they're in Game 5. I want to say that they're tied at 2. So I believe this is the final game. So let me check them out. Go out to there and support the local Cincinnati team. It's not like any other team is better right now in Cincinnati that are currently playing, because the Reds are shooting themselves in the foot, and they are set to play the Padres in a finale game today, 12:35. So we'll come back from break, talk about that, and cover some more. So yeah, you guys are watching Justin and Trey right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, you guys, welcome back here on Justin and Trey here on TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Hey, listen, we want to give a shout out to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find your perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Head on over to epidemicsound.com for more information. I'm a little disappointed in Cincinnati and not being able to go out to the Padres and Reds game this series. Now, I made it an epic. I kind of made it an entity or an importance to head out last year. I went to actually all 3 games to the Padres and Reds. And I was like, listen, I'm going. I want to go. I wanted to see, because I moved out to Cincinnati in 2020, right before the pandemic. They didn't have a season that was, they had a restricted season because of COVID. And so I decided that I was going to head out to, so 2021, they had a season. I'm like, I want to go out to ball games this year. I want to see what the Reds are all about. And this was when, I say, remorsefully, that the Reds were playing good baseball. And, listen, that's, I went out to the Padres and the Reds, all 3 games that they had during the week. And, it was fun. I enjoyed it, each and every moment of it. The first day I went out to the game was with Was with a family member. Um, had a great time. Sat up along the left field side, some really great seats. And then I went out by myself. Got a chance to this second game. Got a chance to sit behind the dugout. The Padres, and really enjoyed that. That was Then I had a little bit of money doing that stuff. And then I had a chance to go. Then I took my girls the day after, and we got a chance to sit on high up. And I believe it was like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday game. So really got an opportunity to go to all three games. Very excited, very happy, very pleased, especially to see how the Padres are doing. They're supposed to be playing well, and they're really getting off to a good start so far here. Let me make sure I pop up the right stuff I need to pop up here. All right, so just what I got going on as of yesterday. Well, so the Reds dropped the last few games, and they don't trust me. The Reds are not in are not kicking off the season to start. Now, I mean, I mentioned this. I have mentioned this already to you guys that this month was going to be a tough series or season. This month was going to be a tough month to kick off the season for the Reds. They're gutting their ball club, and they're facing one of the toughest schedules in the month of April you could ever to really count on. You're talking about, you kicked off the season with Atlanta Braves. You've also had to take on the Cleveland Guardians, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Padres in 6 games. They just got done with the St. Louis Cardinals, and now they're going to, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they got to face what's coming up tomorrow. They're facing the Rockies. They're going over to Colorado. Now, I don't think that's going to be a walk through the park. And then they got Milwaukee next week. So this has not been a walk through the park for the Reds. We knew that. Okay, they're coming into today's game 3-15. The Padres are 12-7, and you got Tyler Mahle on the mound. Great, exciting. Love to see that. They're taking on Nick Martinez from the Padres, who's 0-2 with the ERA of 4.30. Mahle's 1-2 with the ERA 6.88. So, listen, this is not going to be a walk through the park, but I just didn't know how much they were going to struggle. Back on Tuesday, the Padres won 9-6 against the Reds, and back on, well, let's go back to even the previous weekend where the Reds took on the Cardinals at home. They lost 4-2. They lost 5-0. They won 4-1. But that doesn't make up for the series. 1-2 doesn't help a ball club out. All right, then you get to the Padres series, and we knew this was going to be a challenge too. And I'm not going to give you a biased opinion here, but it's going to be a challenge. But you got 9-6, 8-5 last night, and now they come out today. They start at 12:35, and it's a getaway day because they got to hit the road, and the roads continue. Now I got the lineup and everything. I'll get to that here in a moment. But I really want to just express that to you. And, let's, I kind of want to just walk through. So everything I'm getting through here is from the Reds, MLB.com/Reds. Right? They have headlines. I think the only positive thing that you could come out will take away from the Reds playing the last couple of weeks is the headline that is a deal, I believe that's his last name. Cincinnati native makes dream Cincinnati debut. Cincinnati left-handed relief pitcher Philip Deal, I apologize if I butchered that name, grew up in Cincinnati's Pleasant Ridge neighborhood, about 15 minutes from Great American Ballpark, and played baseball for Mahler High School, the alma mater of Hall of Famers Barry Larkins and King Griffey Jr. and manager David Bell. He makes his debut yesterday. Well, that would be exciting. Matter of fact, let's do that. Let's share some great content for you guys. I'm over here. get that popped up. Let me get my screen popped up correctly here. Let's listen to this. Audio, go.
Philip Deal takes the field at Great American Ballpark. A Cincinnati native, a graduate of Moeller High School, his family on hand to see him in a Cincinnati Reds uniform. Not his major league debut, does have time with the Rockies, but his first chance in the home whites for the Reds.
That's what it's all about right there. Congratulations and welcome home.
And he struck him out. Philip Deal's first K for his boyhood team.
Struck out C.J. Abrams.
Slider right there. Good horizontal plane. Good finish.
Oh. The wrist card came flying
One of
off.
many.
Well, there you go. Well, that was Philip Deal for you. Okay. And apparently he was the guy or kid who made his debut. Well, not debut. He got a chance to pitch for his hometown team in his home crowd. That doesn't happen that often. Let's face that. Deal already had his major league debut, like they mentioned, against the Rockies. I think that that was he was a call up from the AAA Louisville, and he finally made his dream start for the Reds in Cincinnati, even though the Reds lost 8-5. Deal said afterwards, it was a dream come true. I wish we could have come out with the W, but I'll be ready for tomorrow, and let's get it again. Great stuff. Great stuff. That's what baseball is all about, in my opinion. Those dream moments, those high school, those perfect. You grew up, and you're like, sometimes as a fan, you grow up, and you're like, listen, this is kind of where I am. I want to play baseball. I want to play baseball for a living. Well, this is how you make it. This is what you do. The problem, so that's good news that comes out of everything. Let's look at up to date with injury rosters for you guys, because that's still a key important. Okay, so Nick Lodulu, he strikes out 7 on the 24th. So it's been a while. I don't really have any updates. Want injuries updates. There we go. So as of the 28th, which is today, so Mike Moustakas is reinstated and Nick Lodulu is placed on the IL. After a day he was on the field working out and taking ground balls, Moustakas was reinstated from the 10-day injured list after dealing with his right tricep strain. However, the Reds had to place Lodolu on the 10-day DL, reactivate on April 25th with a lower back strain. The lefty won his first career start on Sunday, which earned the Reds 11-game which ended the Reds 11-game slide. On April 27th, placed left-handed pitcher Justin Wilson on the 10-day DL injured list. Promoted Philip Deal, who made his debut yesterday, so that was then. Tyler Stevenson is still out there on the concussion protocol list. Obviously, you have Nick Lodolu, Donovan Solano, who has not made his impact, and I feel like he would be an impact to this ball club once he could come out from injury. Jose Barrio, you could, they say late May, so possibly June. Mike Minor now says mid-May. Luis Castillo says early to mid-May, so they're pushing things back. Castillo was scheduled to make his next rehab start on the 29th at Louisville for the AAA Louisville at Columbus. Mark Sheldon. And that was Mark Sheldon's who reported that. But We'll see what happens. Mid-June for Max Struck, which is going to be definitely a big hit. Listen, there's still this team. Not one guy is going to make this team or make this organization how it needs to be, and I think that's a little frustrating when you consider how good how bad right now this month of May has sat with the Cincinnati Reds, and you kind of just hope that this changes. Reds rotation continues to struggle, from an article from the Inquirer after last night. Listen, when Cincinnati this was actually an article that was written, yesterday. When Cincinnati starting pitcher Vladimir Gutierrez was one of the best rookie starters in baseball in nearly 3 months of the season last year, he was known for his fearless attacking the strike zone. Gutierrez often pitched deep into games because of his confidence, and he was best pitcher regardless of the hitter he was facing. He was located when he located his fastball around the strike zone and mixed the breaking ball that consistently clipped the outside corner. Gutierrez had a formula for success. Wednesday at Great American Ballpark, Gutierrez didn't look like that pitcher. He allowed 6 runs in the 4th inning, in 4 innings, as the San Diego Padres beat the Reds 8-5 in front of a season low attendance of 9,192. Yes, I will tell you this. You're almost looking like the Oakland Athletics. This is in quotes that Gutierrez says, "I'm bothered with everything that has been going on these past couple of starts," Gutierrez said via interpreter Jorge Marlos. "Obviously, I want to give it my 100% out there and give an opportunity for this team to win, but I just have to move forward from here. I'll take the positives from this start, and I'll leave all the negatives behind and try to get them next time." This has not been a walk around the park for the Cincinnati Reds from day one, and you can feel the struggle for the Reds the entire time, the entire month. Now, as we mentioned before we get into the lineups here, let's look at that schedule really fast. They wrap up against the Padres. We already knew that this month was going to be terrible. The 3-15 going into this game. They got 2 more days. They're going to be in Colorado, which is not going to be an easy stadium they're going to play against. Then they go over to Milwaukee, and then they're home to Pittsburgh, and then Milwaukee. So there's, you're going to get an opportunity starting next Tuesday to face a lot of your home, your divisional teams. You got Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, and Pittsburgh, and then you go over to Cleveland. So this is an opportunity. I think let's finish with the Padres, jump on that road to Colorado, finish the month of April, and let's start, May off to a really good start. Now, I'm not saying that I don't want to get too down on the Cincinnati Reds. I don't, but I want to find some hope. But I don't think that this year's perspective is to sit here and say that the Reds are going to make it to the postseason. I feel like they're a long way away to even consider it being that consideration. But think about it this way. They sit at 3-15. I said that I explained this to Trey last week. 3-15. The Reds not only have to win 8. So in order to win 8, in order to be qualified for a playoff team, you got to win about 86 to 90 wins a season. Well, now they're only 79 wins away, only not that far. But if you want to consider this team to be a playoff contender or to be above 500, in order to even start thinking on a positive note, you have to make up 12 victories, at least the minimum right now, in order to sit back at 500. You're talking about the Reds having to play about 3 to 4 really good series where they sweep both teams. You're talking about if you want the Reds as of today to get back to 500 baseball, that's 15-15. First of all, that's 15 games. That's 12 games you're going to have to win. That's the Padres today. Sweep the Rockies in Colorado. Sweep Milwaukee. Sweep the Brewers in Milwaukee. And that's 6. Then you got a 4-game series because on Saturday, May 7th, you have a doubleheader one of the makeup games against Pittsburgh at home. So that's 4 games. So that's 10. And then you have to win at least 2 of the 3, if not like sweep the Milwaukee Brewers. So May 10th, May 11th, if the Reds could come up with a winning streak, that's what they would have to do just to get back to 500. Then you have to start grinding it into, okay, what can we do to be better? Doesn't help when you got to face teams like the Boston Red Sox, and you got to face teams like the Chicago. You still haven't faced the Chicago Cubs. You still haven't faced LA at home. You still haven't faced the Giants. You got to go over to New York and face the Yankees. Toronto's going to be a tough stretch down the road. So they really have themselves work cut out for them. And I feel like a lot of fans this year has already, the first 20 games of the season, you have already incorporated the concept of, listen, we're not going nowhere this year. So why do we need to even come to these games? I got a gut feeling that this season teams are not going, or players or fans are not going to go attend these teams or these games, especially throughout the week. They'll go during the weekend when there's something on the line. You're going to give a giveaway out. Sure, I'll be there. But I'm going to go on a Tuesday night. No one's needing. I mean, for me, I find it fun. That way I could just sit up as close as I want to. That $24 ticket turns into an $85 value. So, all right, Reds and Padres game 3. Let's come up with the lineup here right after this quick promotional ad. All right, you guys can join Steve Barber and Dwayne Lynn Davis as they break down news and highlights in professional wrestling. The Armchair Booking Podcast is a weekly wrestling podcast found on YouTube and all audio streaming platforms. Go check out and follow Armchair Booking today. All right. All right, we got today's starting lineup here. Give to you guys. The Reds. Reds taking off the Padres. Game 3 of the 3-game series. First pitch starts in about an hour and 40 minutes. And the Reds are trying to look to avoid a sweep and pick up a victory. Yeah, we can clap as all of that. The starting pitchers for both of these guys, for both teams with the Padres, Nick Martinez. He is 0 for 2. He's a right-handed pitcher, 0 for 2, ERA 4.30. 4.3 ERA with 13 strikeouts on the season so far. Tyler Mahle will get the nod for the Reds. He's a right-handed pitcher, 1 and 2 on the season, 6.88 ERA, 19 strikeouts. The starting lineup for the San Diego Padres, batting first in center field is Trent Grissom. Batting second at second base is Jake Cronenworth. Batting third, the designated hitter, Manny Machado. Jurickson Profar will get the cleanup spot, playing left field. Eric Hosmer will be making his start at first base, batting number 5th. Matt Beatley will bat number 6 out in the right field. Batting number 7th, Jorge Alfaro. He'll be behind the plate. C.J. Abrams will get the 8th spot. He'll be at shortstop today. Ha-Sung Kim will be playing batting 9th. He'll be at third base. So that is Grissom, Cronenworth, Machado, Profar, Hosmer, Beatley, Alfaro, Abrams, and Kim. And that's for the San Diego Padres. The Cincinnati Reds starting lineup here for a 12:35 pitch. Batting first in center field, Jake Fraley. Batting second in right field, Tyler Naquin. Tommy Pham will be playing left field. He'll be batting third. Joey Votto is at cleanup spot at first base. Kyle Farmer will be at shortstop. He'll be batting 5th. Batting 6th is the return of Brandon Drewery. Looking at him, he's 231 so far in his return. 3 home runs. Really good impact. Compared his numbers to Tommy Pham. He's been in less times. He's been playing less than Tommy Pham. He has 6 RBIs on the season. Brandon Drury will be batting 6th. He'll be at second base. The designated hitter, Mike Moustakas, returning to that lineup again from his injury. He'll be batting 7th. Batting 8th is Colin Moran. He'll be at third base. And I'm going to butcher this last name. But behind the plate and batting 9th is Mark Kolozvari. So we got Fraley, Naquin, Pham, Votto, Farmer, Drewery, Moustakas, Moran, and Carlos Vari set for the Cincinnati Reds. And that is your today's lineup for the Cincinnati Reds and the San Diego Padres. I know it's kind of weird because we're not calling the game today, but gets you right into everything that you need to know heading in to today's game. Absolutely. All right. Number one is due up. It has come and gone so quickly, you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to Justin and Trey. We're going to take a break here, and we're going to come back, get you guys some NBA lineups, a couple wrestling news around the world, a couple of sports news as well. Big 12 to discuss two major changes to conference next week per sources. We'll go over that. Also like to remind you the NFL draft is coming up today as well. Mustafa Ali's surprising Monday Night Raw return. Alleged details on his WWE segment and more have surfaced. We'll get into that. Bengals Paul Brown Stadium upgrades will cost nearly $500 million, firm says. We're reading that article about what they want to do. NXT rebounds even against the NBA playoffs. Their ratings are starting to go up. How many games could the Browns win with Deshaun Watson out on suspension in 2022 NFL season? The Inspirational announced that they are stepping away from in-ring action after their loss on April 23rd. Like I said, the Cyclones will take on the Wallies tonight at Heritage Bank Park, or Heritage Bank Arena. Game 5 of round 1 in the hockey postseason. All right, we're going to take a break. Justin and Trey will return to you right after this.
Build you up, you break me down, tear everything apart. I give you all I can, but then you go and break my heart. But this ain't true love, boo. But this ain't true love, this ain't you right here, so I'm gonna leave you. Can be with someone who doesn't care. You're running away from our problems.
All right, you guys, hour number 2 is given to you guys thanks to SeatGeek. TNC Sports Talk, SeatGeek.com. Save 20% off at SeatGeek.com when you purchase more than $50 worth of items. Don't get your next event tickets without using SeatGeek.com. Use promo code TNC Sports Talk to save 20% off. All right, NBA first round starting to wrap up here as we head into hour number 2. And trying to give you guys just an update of where we sit at here in the NBA as we look into games. I was looking at the bracket and update you guys. You have the teams already won. Miami beat Atlanta 4-1 in the series, so they advanced to the conference finals. They will be facing the winner of Philadelphia and Toronto. Now, Philadelphia has the lead over Toronto in the series 3-2. And they play today on MLB TV. I'll get to that game here in just a moment. The two teams that have already advanced, Milwaukee is leading Chicago 4-1, so has won the series 4-1. Boston shut out Brooklyn 4-0. Now it's interesting because I was looking at this series, and this was one of the series that people were like, don't underestimate Brooklyn and how they are going. And they got shut out. Now, injuries, I think, prevailed as well, and I think they had some trouble. And Boston's also not a team to underestimate. Now, listen, the conference finals here, I'm excited to see Boston and Milwaukee to to play each other in their series. Now, this was a best out of 7 series. Gosh, they take forever to accomplish. NBA playoffs are just heroically long. And I don't know. What do you guys feel like that? Do you guys like more basketball at the end of the day, or do you guys like just like the simple three? Like first series should be a best out of 5, and then best out of 7, especially if you got the playoff in rounds. On the Western Conference, the Phoenix Suns leading the New Orleans Pelicans 3-2 in the series. They will play tonight on TNT. I'll get into that game a little bit as well. Also later on tonight, Dallas Mavericks take on the Utah Jazz. Now Dallas is leading 3-2 in that series. Golden State Warriors beat the Denver Nuggets in their series to advance. Final of 4-1. Now this is conference semifinals that they're advancing to. Let me make sure I get that correct. And then Memphis leads Minnesota 3-2. Now, one thing that I could already tell you off the top of my head that I'm noticing here, I know that Phoenix and Dallas are leading, but they have the higher ranks, and Philadelphia is leading. They have the higher ranks in their series. And those are the only 3 teams, well, 4 teams with Memphis, because Memphis is leading Minnesota and they're higher ranked. So it looks like the 1 through 4 are playing well enough to have that. They're taking advantage of that home field advantage to advance to the semifinals. And you haven't seen an undercard team. You looked at Atlanta, who had to really earn their way in. You looked at Brooklyn, who had to win their way in. Memphis, Denver, Utah. Some of these series are good or are playing very well, but a lot of them are also kind of just floating around. You kind of see who really should be in the finals, and that's going to all present down to really good series to be played. All right, so tonight, what are we looking for tonight? Game 6 for these teams. Philadelphia will be in Toronto. Their tip-off is at 7 p.m. As Philadelphia leads 3-2. It will be presented on NBA TV. Then on TNT, though, starting at 7:30, the Phoenix Suns will be in New Orleans for the tip-off at 7:30 as Phoenix leads 3-2. Tip-off at 10, the final game of the night. Dallas leads the series 3-2. Well, Dallas is over in Utah. Now, all these teams that have that lead are on the road in tonight's game, so that's something to look out for as well. Games that are already ready to be scheduled. I think there's only one game that has been confirmed for the semifinals. Milwaukee and Boston. That game will air and begin on May 1st, which is, I believe, Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the calendar popped up in front of me, so look into that. I wanted to make sure I get that NBA playoff round trip, so you guys can look into that. Any news coming out of the playoffs while we're here? I don't see anything. We'll follow that up a little bit later. Well, hold on a second. Just where I get those pop-ups during the show. Trying to get that chat coming through. As I make myself around the horn, NFL draft new value pick wide receivers. Here's an article, Wall Street Journal. Okay. I'm not going to pay for that subscription to read that article. Thanks, but no thanks. Okay. So, this is how much I don't pay attention. Wardlow defeats former WWE SmackDown superstar on AEW Dynamite. Guess who that is? Wardlow defeated Lance Archer, KFKA Vance Archer in WWE, in an extremely physical match on AEW Dynamite this week. The bout was confirmed last week that MJF bribed Jake Roberts to ensure his client faced Mr. Mayhem. MJF's music played first as he sat in a high position with Shawn Spears and cut a promo on the Philadelphia crowd. Lance Archer jump-started the match, but Wardlow responded with a hurricanrana and speared the Murder Hawk monster in the corner repeatedly. He picked up Archer and tossed him on the mat before attempting to hit a power bomb. The latter powered out and went for the chokeslam, but Wardlow got out of it, and both men went down with the double clothesline. They traded strikes in the middle of the ring as Wardlow got the upper hand. Eventually, the former IWGP United States champion hit a beautiful top rope moonsault and went for another chokeslam, hitting it this time for the 2 count. He had Wardlow on the top rope, and to set him up for the blackout, Mr. Mayhem kicked out and at 2 and went for the roll up, but former WWE star also kicked out. Wardlow stopped Archer from delivering a second blackout by hitting multiple headbutts and a top rope senton for the near fall. Mr. Mayhem finally hit the powerbomb and delivered 3 more and commanded a win on AEW Dynamite. Wardlow has an impressive singles record in AEW in 2022. His win-loss record in 2022 is 7-2. His wins has come against a variety of opponents. His first win of the year was on Dynamite against Antonio Zambrano before losing to CM Punk the following week. However, the loss came after a dominant performance and only lost due to MJF. So we finally get to see Wardlow back in action. See, that I guess that's one of the things I was kind of worried about going into this series or going into this storyline with Wardlow was how they were going to get him back into the ring, because you really couldn't afford to have him miss any time, because he was trying to become a fan favorite in that situation. What you're going to see is us go back and forth between a couple different sports as I start making our way down to the line. I just saw that. I thought that was interesting to read and to share to you guys. So headlines also: Yankees Anthony Rizzo becomes first MLB run leader with 3 home runs against the 3 homer game versus the Baltimore Orioles. Yeah, let's kind of want to share some content with you guys. Let's pull that up. I think that would be nice, right? Let's play.
Corners go 3-2. Deep fly ball, right field. Santander back on the track at the wall. Leaps. See ya. A 3-run home run for Rizzo. Just over the leaping try of Santander. And the Yankees lead 3-0.
That's fair. Well, Yankees Anthony Rizzo becomes MLB home run leader with the 3 homers. So he's now currently leading the home run status. Fair enough. Anything else coming up in here in the news? One NFL owner is showing support for Colin Kaepernick. I think that's my question this offseason. If you are looking at any other perfect time for a player to get back into football, such as a guy like Colin Kaepernick, is this year the year? Considering that there is not many quarterbacks out there that has the upgraded talent. Now we don't, let's remember, we don't know exactly what level Kaepernick is in. Now he does all these training camps. It's great to do these training camps. To do it on the field during a game is completely different. Now, I mean, he hasn't played in nearly a decade, in a sense. So, does a team now risk giving Kaepernick a chance. Now, there's been arguments, and I've heard plenty of arguments already about Kaepernick making this a. Well, let's put it the way. Kaepernick, there's been many arguments claiming that Kaepernick is in his middle age, in his 30s, and that's usually when a peak season career starts. But how much of that has to do with the fact that he has actually played multiple years in the NFL? So I feel like there's a lot of tough questions to ask in the question when it comes down to does Kaepernick get another shot at the NFL, and if so, when does his shot become at the NFL? And I feel like if this is if any year is a better year, this is the year, because you don't have many NFL quarterbacks in the NFL draft this season, and there's a lot of still questions yet to be answered. What is Seattle planning on doing with the quarterback? What is even Cleveland, having to deal with that question? Excuse me, sorry. But even what was it? There we go. So even from Sportscadia, what the Cleveland Browns made the biggest move in the offseason in trading for Deshaun Watson, not just by acquiring him, but by immediately signing him to a fully guaranteed 5-year deal worth $230 million. All right. It has the NFL world talking about for many weeks since the Super Bowl. All right, they're even considering that the Cleveland Browns are now Super Bowl contenders. All right, but here's the thing: although he has not been admitted with all these civil lawsuits and the sexual harassment assaults, it's not just going to magically disappear. You got to remember that now, since the attorney side, since the state side is out of the way, what has the plans for NFL? So Cleveland just signed quarterback Jacoby Brissett. For now, we're still waiting. Everyone is waiting for what the NFL will hand down for suspension. Now, they go sign a guaranteed contract with Watson, and what happens if they suspend him for a year? I don't know what the terms are going to be, but I think that is one of the highlights of the offseason, because this, depending on the punishment that will be cracked down on Cincinnati, or on not Cincinnati, I'm sorry, depending on the punishment that will be handed down to Deshaun Watson, that will determine if the Browns won or lost. Can you afford not to have 6 games or even 8 games without Deshaun Watson? Yes, you could go pick up a temporary quarterback and even exclaim guys like Baker Mayfield. But if it's going to be longer than that, does it benefit the organization if Deshaun Watson loses an entire season? I think personally, agreeing to a 5-year deal, for me if I was thinking as an owner, the problem I have is until you know what his path and direction is, you really don't know where Deshaun Watson is going to be. He can be 2 different players every year. And what I mean by that is that he could come in this first year and be a perfect place. He could be an all-star. He could lead the team to a Super Bowl. And then next year, he could be absolutely nobody. And I think that's what my fear of is the most. And and obviously it's the risk that Cleveland took this year. Cleveland took the risk of signing Deshaun Watson, knowing that there will be consequences for his actions, regardless if he was guilty, found not guilty or guilty, it doesn't matter. And Deshaun Watson and Cleveland Browns have made a ultimatum contract as if he was going to be the franchise quarterback. The problem is you don't know if he's going to play this year, because the punishment could be 1 week, it could be 3 weeks, it could be half a season, it could be a month, it could be there couldn't be no punishment, there could be, or it could be an entire year. And for me, you just don't know what he's going to provide you next year. What is he going to do if he's suspended for an entire year, what is he going to do with himself for that year? Do you worry about him going out there and getting in trouble? Even if he's not found guilty, are you worried about him continuing the problems that he addresses today, that what got him into this position to begin with? I think that this trade, it was a very good trade in the aspect of, or when you look at what, they need a quarterback, because I really feel that the Cleveland Browns needed to move on from Baker Mayfield, because ever since Baker Mayfield joined the team, it's been nonstop. And one of the things I've read, one of the things I've learned is that you need to, as a player, we just talked about this with Alex Biaggi last week. When you are a player, you need to go in, keep your tail between your legs, and play football. Don't worry about the social media. Don't worry about the criticisms. Don't worry about the hate fans, because there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like you. But it's to come in and just stay quiet and play football. And that's how you're going to get yourself known. Baker Mayfield came out there last season, and he made a whirlwind of drama, and he fed the fans what they wanted, and they wanted to aggravate him, and he fed into that. And at least from my perspective, that's not what was good for the business. And you saw that in the result of how their season played out. Now, yes, was Baker Mayfield injured? I'm sure he was. Did he have to get he had to get surgery? He had to take care of himself. I get that. But there was also things like, but it was the simple things like, don't feed into an Odell Beckham. Let Odell Beckham be Odell Beckham. Let the Browns handle that. And you just play. Baker Mayfield is not a Tom Brady status. He's not he's not an Aaron Rodgers status. Okay. He's still very new to this, to the NFL. And, there's a time and place. Now, when you've been in the league for 10 to 15 years and you won Super Bowls and you are that locker room leader, then there is a professional way to handle it. And I just feel like this is too much for Cleveland. And I feel like the separation from Baker Mayfield is necessary. Now, does that mean that Baker Mayfield doesn't go to Seattle, doesn't go to whatever team he needs to go to be a quarterback that he will be loved? Of course, maybe it's just not the place. But Cleveland needs to get out of that. I don't know if it betters Cleveland's stats for getting out of that by putting themselves into a Deshaun Watson, because now technically you're not guaranteed a quarterback. And you wonder why Cleveland doesn't want to get rid of Baker Mayfield so soon. Well, if they say that Deshaun Watson can't play for 3 months, then who is your quarterback? Can you really survive a series? And no disrespect to Jacoby Brissett, but can you really trust Jacoby to really carry you in the play, to a playoff status? I don't know. All right, we got to cut to a break here. When we come back, we'll get to some more of these storylines, especially when it comes down to the Big 12, Paul Brown Stadium, and much more. You guys are listening to Justin Trey right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, I'm actually feeling pretty good about how we're carrying ourselves throughout this show. Tomorrow we have a guest on our show, 11:25. You guys don't want to miss that out. It's going to be just me, myself, and I up until for another week and a half as Trey is on vacation. I sent him the link to join us for a few minutes. Guess he didn't want to stop and say hi. They're kind of in areas where they don't get great services. But I like messing with them. We want to wish them the best of luck on their traveling and their vacation. Listen, Big 12 to discuss two major changes to conferences. Ooh. We'll get into that a little bit later. But Big 12 to discuss two major changes to the conference next week per sources. I want to read you guys what they are and all that coming up right after this quick promotional ad. Alrighty, you guys. You guys could check out NWF Wrestling. Here, go support your future stars at NWF Wrestling. See Adam Swayze, Rex, Sean Evans, Ella, Riley Matthews, Big Mama, The Great King Diana, and a lot more. Go check out and support as they show off their talent in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. Become part of the NWF Army and head out to their weekly events. For more information, check out nwfwrestling.com. Now, all right. They have an event down in Fairfield this week, and if it doesn't rain, head out to that one. That's the first outdoor event this spring/summertime. So I'm actually excited. I'm hoping I could get out to that one. We'll see what happens. All right. The Big 12 is looking to make some changes next week. Next week, the Big 12 plans to discuss the future of the conference regarding this expansion. This expansion per Sports Illustrated Ross Dellinger. Houston, Cincinnati, and UCF are expected to join the Big 12 in the 20. Houston, Cincinnati, and UCF are expected to join the Big 12 in the 2023/2024 academic year, potentially joining the conference before Texas and Oklahoma join the SCE by the 25th academic year. Per Athletic Nicole Auerbach, the AAC, American Athletic Conference, still has to sign off on the three schools to exit. The process so far has been amicable. No agreement has been reached to permit the three UCF, Houston, Cincinnati to leave early. AAC Commissioner Mike Oresco told Auerbach, our negotiations are continuing. Okay. Just keep on checking here. Through their joining was already expected. The negotiations are expected to be finalized in the next week, according to Dellinger. BYU will also be joining the Big 12 in all sports, not just football. There is a possibility that there will be 14 teams in the Big 12 during the 2023 and 2024 season. Conference officials will be meeting next week to discuss how a larger team pool could work, examining all possibilities, including divisions and whether there should be 8 or 9 league games. So that was a report. A college football season typically consists of 12 regular season games, including 8 or 9 conference games, with 14 teams possibly competing in the Big 12. It could be tricky to figure it out. An answer may come as conference officials next week. So there's no guarantee that this will actually happen. There's speculations. There's no promises. Now, okay, let's back up for a moment, because we see ourselves moving along in this story. There are a lot of leagues in NCAA football. So is basketball and baseball and so forth. But when we talk about NCAA football, there is a lot of leagues. All right. There is a lot of things that are going on. There are a lot of things that we are trying, what we're seeing here is that there's a lot of leagues in NCAA football, but there's only a handful of those leagues that get appropriate attention to. All right. When you talk about, you see the final teams as Clemson or Alabama or Georgia or, Clemson. All right, I probably just said Clemson. When you see the repetitive amount of teams in the finals in the NCAA tournament, it's been that way for the last 25 years. What we are trying to slowly get away from as a college football organization is expanding the playoffs to where now there's more variety. There's only 4 teams that qualify every year to be in the championship tournament that is played in December. But here's my thing. There's a lot of biased opinion, because if you're a team like Alabama, you put all this money into your community, your football team, where that's where you make the most money off of. You really want an ultimate say in how you can control it. Same thing goes for Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State. But what this doesn't do is that this doesn't give an opportunity to teams like UCLA or USC or even under teams like Baylor and San Diego State. If you go have a remarkable year like one of them, you don't get considered to be in the Final Four. And I'm like, why? Why shouldn't you? NBA basketball, San Diego State, the Mountain West, I believe, had 4 teams representing the Mountain West in the NCAA basketball March Madness basketball tournament. They are acknowledging these teams. The one thing that's so great about the NCAA basketball tournament is that you can have several teams represent your conference. Every conference gets an opportunity. It depends how well you play. And your season the following year is based off of how you play. I remember growing up, and this was a big push for San Diego State, how they weren't getting a chance to play good teams because they were not considered as a good conference. Well, they had to go a couple years undefeated. They had to win a couple tournaments. They had to win a couple championships, and now they're starting to be looked at as a real team. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to be as great as Gonzaga, but they play Gonzaga once in a while. They play Arizona once in a while. These are teams that are not taken lightly. They play Duke, and they're just growing. That's what they're doing. Their organization is growing, and that's what I want to see. When it comes down to football, it's very tight-knit, and a lot of these bowl games. Now, listen, unless you are a true college football fan, unless you are following that team or you're an alma mater at that team, it's a lot difficult to pay attention to find the purpose of these bowl games. Okay? That's what I will say in honesty. If you put something on the line for these bowl games, then people will pay more attention. I feel like there will be a little bit better football game being played. Listen, I get it. When you have a bowl in your area, like the Holiday Bowl, for example, went down to San Diego. They were having a bowl game at Petco Park. That's a big community thing. And when you get down, and I get that, but if you want more attention on these bowl games, I feel like, is there a way that you can incorporate just a few of these bowl games to mean more if they were being used as part of a tournament for the NCAA championship game? That's kind of what I fear. Now, will we see that? I'm going to be honest, probably not in my lifetime. Could that be down the road? Yes, maybe, possibility. I feel like there's a couple of leagues. I think they're starting to tighten up on some of the leagues, get rid of a couple of them, open it up, but then expand playoff mode. Because you want to be able to give a fair shot to as many teams as possible. It's like a diversity. Talking about stadiums, Cincinnati Bengals Stadium, Paul Brown Stadium, upgrades would cost nearly $500 million. Now, I was listening to this actually the other day, and one of the things that was really interesting to land or to talk about this is the fact that Cincinnati has this Paul Brown Stadium, great football stadium, but they're not. It only gets utilized every so often. Really, it really gets shut down for the entire year when it's not baseball season. Same thing for Great American Ballpark. Now, I'm not expecting Great American Ballpark to be used during the off season because the weather conditions permit that. But what I do, but it's summertime. Let's talk about how we could bring more revenue in, utilizing the stadium. I mean, here's a prime example. And I hate to refer to this, but this is only because this is what I know. When you look back go check out Petco's park schedule. They got concerts, they got dirt bikes, they got Little League baseball season there. They got high school football being played there throughout the year. They have a lot more activities going on to bring revenue to that stadium. And I guess the question is it time for Paul Brown Stadium to do the same thing? This is an article that's coming from WLW, Fox 5 or something like that. Okay. WLWT5. This was reported back on the 26th. So it's a couple days old. The first step on the pathway to a new Bengals lease has been taken, and last season's fan of the year is happy to see it happen. And I quote, "We've invested in that, both of these stadiums," quote, said Jim Foster, commonly known as Bengals Jim, referring to the Great American Ballpark in Paul Brown Stadium. Quote, they have to be maintained or it's going to cost us more. And I'll say that true, that these stadiums, listen, it's the upkeep on these stadiums, especially the older they get, especially where you consider they're located at on the riverbank. There is an upkeep to it. On Tuesday, a new study by a firm that kicked the tires and peered under the hood suggested that it would cost nearly $494 million spread over 20 years to upgrade and maintain PBS. That exceeds the amount it costs to build in the first place. So let's compare this to a car. If it's going to cost you more why spend more money on a vehicle and it ends up costing you more to do it than just buying a new stadium? Well, I'll tell you that here in a second. Let me continue the reading of the article. County Commissioner expressed support Tuesday for the idea to renovate, not replace. It's a point that was underscored by Gensler architectural firm consultant Demetria Thornton, who is also a St. Ursula grad and lifelong Bengals fan. And I quote, "I think we need to put that up to the county and the Bengals to analyze our report," she said. "But yes, we feel like you don't need a new stadium." No, but there's nothing wrong with Paul Brown. I mean, listen, tell me what one thing that is wrong about Paul Brown Stadium. I don't think so. I don't think there's nothing wrong with Great American Ballpark. It's about, okay, every 5 years you get an oil change. Oil change could cost about $100 and a tire rotation. That's about $100. Let me put it this way. Every, once or twice a year, you get an oil change, especially out here, right? You get one right before springtime. You get one right before wintertime. That way you're good to go. Then you got to get wiper blades. Then you got to get new tires after 60,000 miles. That could couple about $1,000. You got to get your transmission fluid replaced, your radiator fluid, replaced. Got to get your differential fluid replaced, whatever vehicle you have, Brakes, you got to get your brakes done. There's so many maintenance that you have to do, preventive maintenance, right? Because the longer you let that sit is the less ability or less chances of keeping that vehicle on a downward curve. So when people are saying that listen, let's not tear down the stadium. We just need to upgrade it. Let's upgrade it. Here's what's going to end up happening to Paul Brown and Great American Ballpark. It's going to get to a point where you're going to be limited of what you can and can't do at the stadium about post events because of it. And that's going to be that is a concern. When you ask me, that is a concern. I was remorse to see Jack Murphy Stadium, Qualcomm Stadium, SDCCU Stadium, whatever you want to consider it, the home of the former Chargers and the former Padres before they relocated to Petco Park. That got torn down the same year that I moved out to Cincinnati. And it's about the upkeep. You wonder, like, look at Wrigley Field. Look at Fenway Park. Look at Dodger Stadium. If you keep the upkeep going, it could be monstrous. It could be historic. Don't you want Cincinnati is such rich in history. Don't you want it to be historic? Foster concurred. He has been in 28 NFL stadiums and said, when you are at the Jungle for Who Day, you have one of the best times anywhere in the league because of the game day video. The evaluation included a concrete structure, waterproof columns, beam, roofing, ramps, and elevators, among many other things. The second part to the study will involve add-ons like the scoreboard and maybe a new seating arrangement. Paul Brown Stadium has 3 different types of seats, while some stadiums have up to a dozen different options. And I quote, "We have to do some of those things in order to stay competitive." That is true. Commissioner Denise Dryhaus said, "However, we do have a box of funding in which we're working, right? And so we need to be realistic about what we can do." Listen, you're not going to be able to get everything on that checklist done in the first year of doing or the first go around. But to be able to slowly start building on those maintenances and upkeep on that will help so much as the years go past. You get the full maximum utilization of this game. Now, I'm going to go down to Paul Brown Stadium for the first time on May 14th to see Garth Brooks in concert. Now, it's not a football game, but I'm excited to go. It's my first time going. It looks so beautiful on the outside. I drive past it often, and I'm just looking on the inside. I feel like it's something that you want to go watch. Imagine your home, over 20 years, you're going to have to invest money into it and keep it up. So there's nothing that jumps out that has to be done right away. The building is safe. The building is a great place for fans to enjoy. We just want to modernize it. Yeah, that's true. Listen, Wrigley Field has modernized their stadium. Fenway Park has added on their stadium. They made it more entertaining. That's what the fans want. That's what they're looking for, and so much more. And, listen, I agree with that. I feel like that's necessary. Will we see it? Listen, we still have not seen that bridge be replaced, and they've been calling that for 35 years. So, how long will it take? I feel like I will say this. The longer you wait, the more difficult it's going to be. All right, let's take our last break of the day. Let's come back and finish up our show. Justin Trey returns right after this. All right, you guys. Welcome back. Justin Trey finishing off the show here today. Let's not forget to remind you that our show is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best men's in men's below the waist grooming. The products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels, Manscaped, and with the promo code TNC20, all right, you guys can save 20% off on your next order, plus free shipping at manscaped.com. That is 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with promo code TNC20. Head on over there now for your grooming. Father's Day is coming up. You got birthdays, all that stuff throughout the year. Springtime, you want to feel fresh about yourself. You want to, take care of your pits, your chest, your below the waist needs. Manscaped. And I'll say this here. They got that lawnmower 4.0, you guys. Great tool to use, great tool to have. It has that precision light, everything. It's quiet. I love it. Do what you need to do with it. I'm telling you, manscaped.com, where to go. Save 20% off with TNC20. Also, I always like to give a shout out to SeatGeek. Save 20% off with promo code TNC20 when you go to SeatGeek. And with your first purchase at any events, concerts, games, whatever, venues, save 20% off by using promo code TNC20 when you spend $50 or more. I mean, most tickets are usually that expensive anyways. Save 20% off when you use $50 when you spend $50 or more. SeatGeek.com. Also like to invite you guys out. If you guys like our show, you guys want to support us, we're from around town. We got a merchandise page up thanks to TeePublic. You guys can shop TNC Sports Talk at TeePublic.com to get your t-shirts, phone cases, mugs, and more. Grab your favorite sports talk show gear today by heading on over to www.teepublic.com/user/TNC-sports-talk for more information. Order now. All right. I think some house maintenance stuff done here. We got the Cyclones and the Wallies. Wally taking on today. That first tip-off is at 7:30 p.m. Don't miss that out. Game 5 here. Also, the Reds and the Padres a little later on today as well. Got to wrap up our show on a Thursday. All right, I didn't talk a lot about baseball or about wrestling today. I know I shared one story. We'll spend like the last few minutes of our show just kind of wrapping up on a couple of interesting stories that we may have to break into later on this week. Like I said, if you guys are joining us, whatever topic you guys think are interesting, start sending them my way. I'm more than willing to share that and try to figure out, kind of come in with some ideas because, I got a week and a half without Trey. He's headed up to down to Florida and a trip. The last update message, he was in North Carolina now, trying to make sure everything's charged. So he hasn't been able to stop in and say hi. I kind of wish he did. Kind of a bummer. I'm just going to pick on him while he says no. But he doesn't also get quite well cell service. So, I'm just gonna give him a hard time. That's what I gotta do. He's not here, so it's not like he could say anything about it. All right, coming around here in the world of sports, Mustafa Ali. After Mustafa Ali's surprisingly Monday Night Raw return, alleged details on his return segment and more has surfaced. All right. Remember, Mustafa Ali was the one who requests his release, says that he's not getting his fair opportunities on the roster. He wants to do certain things. He's being rejected, not getting an opportunity to express what he can do. The WWE has rejected his his release and told basically put him on a hiatus for a while. And he finally returned back on Monday. Now, no, I did not watch it, so I'm going to read this for the first time to you guys. We'll see how far we get to it. I mean, it's a 3-paragraph article. I don't want to take too much time. Monday Night Raw surprised a lot of WWE fans in the recent episode when a wrestler who seemed on his way out of the company very firmly reinserted himself into the United States Championship title picture. Mustafa Ali walked into the ring for the company for the first time in 6 months, and by the end of the night, he had a feud established with both Theory and Tommaso Ciampa. Now, following the segment, rumors are spreading regarding details on his return and his future contract status with the WWE. The Miz and Theory did not hold back on the jokes about Mustafa Ali when he returned, but all indications so far says that's okay. Fightful Select reported that Ali was comfortable with jabs made about his public efforts to be released from the WWE, which reportedly first started after a creative disagreement he had with Vince McMahon. Both at the time stated that Ali wanted to rebrand his character as something called New America, and that the idea fell flat with higher ups in the company. McMahon then approached Ali with his own idea for a character. And while it's not known what the idea for the character was, it seemed that to be what led for the heated argument between the two. Mustafa's disappeared from television not long after his performance at Crown Jewel in 2021 after a loss to Mansoor at the showdown with the karate silver Olympic medalist Tarek Hamedi. That was the Crown Jewel event, and it just goes into more detail. So Mustafa Ali returns to wrestling. I guess we could break that down later on this week. What will we see from Mustafa Ali in ring? Will they put a title on him? Will they make his life a living nightmare? That's something I think is questioned to be formative. Also, like to get to here just an article as well from SB Nation. Okay, cage side seats. NXT rating rebound even against the NBA playoffs. April 27th, 2022 report says the ratings and viewerships data are in for April 26th edition of NXT. And despite going head-to-head with the NBA playoffs, which has been driving down the numbers of every pro wrestling show in the last couple of weeks, WWE developmental brand has its best rating of the month. According to Showbuzz Daily, NXT was watched by 577,000 people. That is up from last week, but essentially the same. The 18 to 49-year-old rating was 10% better than the last 2 weeks. However, the 0.14 puts the show back where it had stabilized in March. Now, listen, you got to understand when it comes down to things like NFL playoffs, when it comes down to things like NBA playoffs, when it comes down to MLB playoffs, NHL, because that is a short period of time. It's like March Madness because that is a short period of time, and wrestling is such a long. Wrestling is not a season; their season is the entire year. So you got to understand and make room when people decide, hey, NBA season is about to be over. You have some really good basketball because now every game matters here in the NBA, especially moving forward, especially as in tonight. So, yeah, if it's going to overbeat some of these ratings, I'm sure, especially as the finals, more people are going to watch the finals than watch baseball. More people are going to watch at the time of the Super Bowl. More people were worried about the Super Bowl. That's why the WWE has never, or really, really never, puts the Royal Rumble on the same day as the Super Bowl because who's going to win. WWE rather go up against the All-Star game than that. The WWE does not try to conflict their shows with any other sports main events. Some stuff like the Super Bowl, the World Series, the NASCAR. They just don't do that. Same thing with NASCAR. They don't try to match it up. So I understand. Expect that. All right, last thing I'm going to get to here today. All right, another article from Inside the Ropes. The Inspiration announced they're stepping away from in-ring ability. Now, listen, this was a return from the Iconics. They had a really great blast. I really enjoyed watching them in WWE. They've really come to Impact Wrestling and did a phenomenal job in the tag team division. The Inspiration have announced that they will be stepping away from in-ring competition, definitely. In a statement posted on social media, Cassie Lee and Jessica McKay have announced that they will be taking a break from the ring. To the multiple-time tag team champions were in action recently on April 23rd, where they were defeated by the Influence. The former Impact Wrestling Knockouts World Tag Team Champions, the Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jessica McKay, confirmed today that they will be indefinitely stepping away from the in-ring action. And I quote, "The Inspiration has been a great part of Impact's knockout roster and wonderful to work with," said Impact Executive Vice President Scott Demora. Cassie and Jesse are incredible talent performers. Everyone at Impact wishes them the very success in their future. The Inspiration issued a joint statement together. And I quote, we first want to thank Scott Demora and the entire Impact family. We have had such an amazing experience working with the incredible Impact staff and the roster. We will cherish these Impact memories forever. We are excited to start a new chapter in our lives and explore other opportunities that may come our way. Okay. This is something that we're going to actually talk a little bit more about later on in our show this week about the inspirations. They really kind of like Matt Cardona, Cody Rhodes. They leave WWE. They have greater success, and you kind of now enjoy the stuff that they give you. So we want to wish them the best of luck. But at this time, this is the end of our show. Like I said, a couple wrestling stories to get to later on this week. We will definitely do so. We will have a guest tomorrow on our show and be excited. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, watching us. On behalf of Trey, Courtney, Adam, myself, the entire team here at the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. You guys have yourself a wonderful day.